time to share more of Sandi's why and how the right kind of leadership style, management style, set Sandi up for being able to share deeply personal stuff, because how we are at home affects how we are at work, and you are so passionately committed to workplace wellbeing. So let's talk about an exciting drama that set you up for future success. What happened in Hammersmith?
There was a security alert on the Piccadilly line, and all the trains were stopped at Hammersmith bus station, and the passengers were sent upstairs, told that they could get a bus to Heathrow, which wasn't true. So I created a few buses to go to Heathrow.
You invented this?
I invented them, just took them off of main service, found a couple of drivers that knew the way to Heathrow, luggage on the downstairs, passengers on the upstairs, £5 a head, Bob's your uncle, off you go.
Wow.
Got the job done, got the bus station cleared, and went back after my shift to my garage and got in loads of trouble. My line manager was not overly impressed. But there was a guy that I worked for, one of the senior managers, a chap called Derek. And Derek had taught me it's easier to seek forgiveness than it is to seek permission.
Yeah.
And that's the basis that I worked on. So I went home that night with my tail between my legs, feeling a bit sorry for myself. And the following day, there was a message for me from Derek to give him a ring. So now I think my P45's on its way.
Oh, gosh.
And I rang him, and he said to me, Sandi, he said, there's thinking outside the box, and then there's thinking outside of the box. And it wasn't the best decision. So I was like, okay. And he said, but it made us a bit of money. We got some fantastic press coverage, and don't ever do it again, but well done. And I was really, really chuffed.
Yeah, of course you are.
And this chap, Derek, he was a figure in my working life over 20 years, well over 20 years. And I had a very good working relationship with him. He was just a solid fella. So fast forward to 2006, and he was MD of the company that I was working for. I'd moved to Bournemouth, 3 kids under 5, working full time, had students, wasn't particularly well off, and met somebody and got into a relationship, and over a period of time that relationship became at best coercive, and at worst at times abusive. And at the time I couldn't see it.
No.
But it affected me, and I began to suffer from all the signs and symptoms of depression.
Yeah.
My sickness absence increased. I would go into work, close my office door, not really want to see people or interact.
Not sparkly, Sandi, and
No.
nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed. And then,
Awesome.
for various reasons, in the end, I went to speak to Derek. And bless him, he did everything right. He sat, he listened to me, he didn't try to fix me, he didn't try to advise me. He just said to me when I finished talking that he understood, and if there was anything he could do to help, if I needed time off, whatever it was, just to reach out.
No fuss.
No fuss, no big drama. And for me, that was a turning point. I got myself onto some medication, and things started to improve.
What was in your inbox the next day?
He sent me an email with just a list of groups and charities and people that might be able to help.
So, I listen, no fuss, here's help.
Yeah.
I'm here if you need me.
Yeah, and I mean, he knew it was my decision if I contacted any of them,
Yeah.
and he just left it with me. But just having that support made a world of difference. And I did. I got through it.
Fast forward a few years then.
Yep.
Trouble with the kids.
One of the kids. One of my kids.
And a whole different management experience, which really was the turning point for you having a passion for Derek-like management.
Yes, absolutely. Derek had moved on. I had some problems with one of my children. Tried to get some help through social services. They didn't want to know. The only way to get them involved was when it kicked off, was to call the police. And that's what I did. So
as all good mothers do.
Oh,
Yeah.
the feeling is just demoralising.
Yeah.
I've gone from kind of like a normal mum, and suddenly I've got blues and twos about 3 or 4 times in total. But it did work. I managed to get social services involved to help my child. No support for the rest of the family. And once again, I spiralled a bit. And this time I recognised the symptoms. So I went to see my HR manager. I explained some of what I was going through, but as much as I was comfortable in sharing. And she basically said to me, prove it. So I ended up having to take copies of prescriptions in, reports from the police and social services, all the stuff that I was deeply ashamed of.
Deeply ashamed, and that's key, isn't it?
All the things that when somebody says to you, you're not the best mum, it's really hard. But when
hurts.
somebody puts in writing, you're not the best mum, even though you're the
official,
one,
isn't it?
yeah, and even though you're the one that's been saying, look, this isn't going well, please can you help, please can you help.
Well, I would if you were a good mum.
Exactly. But anyway, so I had to take all this stuff in, and it was really hard to have this woman read that and let her into that part of my life. And she was very cold about it, very dismissive about it. And
that's what stops people.
Yeah.
So Lee Thomas shared some interesting information with you, didn't he?
Yeah, in the early days, Lee said to me, we had a few conversations, and he said before that it's only about 5% of employees that feel they can go to their line manager and talk about mental health issues.
So we need to be more Derek.
We need to be more Derek. And really that's what I'm about now. I want to go into workplaces and I want to teach people to recognise the early signs and symptoms of poor mental health. And I want to teach managers not to be backwards in coming forwards in asking their people if they're okay and being there for them. You don't have to be a trained medic, you don't have to be a psychologist, you don't have to be a counsellor. Really, you just need to be a listening board.
I listen, I understand, I'm here for you, here are some resources.
Yeah.
He didn't fix you.
Nope, fix myself.
Be more Derek. And you're still in contact with Derek, aren't you?
I'm still in contact with Derek. Absolutely wonderful human being. I spoke to him the other day, and he's been watching the Wellbeing Wednesdays, which I was a bit surprised about because I didn't think he'd really be that interested. And he told me that he was really proud of what I've been doing and everything else. And that meant so much to me. So anybody...
So that's why you do it?
Mm-hmm. And I would just say to anybody, in fact I might coin that as a phrase, be more Derek.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Thank you.